Hello and welcome again to the series Learning to Drive with Gary Phillips. In this video we're going to look at how to do a straight reverse, how to reverse in a straight line. So we'll imagine that we're parked on the left here and we're a couple of inches away from the curb. We want to reverse back down the road. When we're reversing, we're only allowed to reverse for as long as is absolutely necessary, so we wouldn't reverse for great distances, and we wouldn't do it very quickly either. The other thing to consider is, can you reverse on a one-way street? You can actually reverse on a one-way street because you might need to reverse into a parking space, for example, but again you wouldn't do it for very long, you wouldn't do it for great distances. So when we reverse, we're going to be needing to look through the back window, not through the mirror, but actually physically through the back window, like we look through the front window when we're driving forwards. So we turn ourselves in the seat. If you move slightly to the right in the seat, so you can twist yourself around so that you can then look better through the back window over your left shoulder. You can actually take your seatbelt off for this exercise if you want to, but it shouldn't really always be necessary. So it's only if you feel uncomfortable, the seatbelt's cutting into your neck or something like that, that you might feel like you want to take it off. Just always remember to put it back on before you drive forwards again. So we've got our seat position, we're turned in our seat, and we're in reverse. Now before you start the manoeuvre, we check all round. So because we're going to be looking over our left shoulder as we go back, you could start your observations from the right. So you'd start with the right blind spot, work all the way round, through the front, through the mirrors, and round to the back so that you're looking through the back window. And this blue line shows where your head would be and where you're looking towards the curb. You probably see as far back as that is where you would see the curb. And what you want to try and do is get a reference point where the curb lines up in your back window. In this case it's just slightly to the left of the centre as you would look at it. There might be a wiper there, it might be perhaps at the end of the wiper. So if you get a line for your curb, your aim would be then, as you go back in a straight line, to try and keep that in the same position in that back window. If you find that you're going wide, like this car shows, we're going a little bit away from the curb, then the position of the curb would change. It would actually move away to the right from where you're looking at it. So it would go this way. And that would mean that you're getting wide, so you'd need to steer towards the curb. The amount of steering that you need to do shouldn't be a lot, because you should notice that change quite early, and so if you see that it's moving out a little bit, you would only need a small amount of steering to move back in again. If you think about the steering wheel as a clock face, and the top of the steering wheel when the wheels are straight is 12 o'clock, if you had your right hand at the top of the wheel, then you would be able to do a little bit of steering, maybe as much as 1/4 or 1/4 the hour, to correct any alteration in your position. You probably wouldn't need quite as much as that, but you've got that range with your hand at the top of the wheel. You don't need to take your hand off the wheel or reposition it. So you can actually reverse with one hand on the wheel instead of two. And your left hand, you might have seen people do this, your left hand might support yourself behind the passenger seat, because you do need to twist yourself around quite a lot, as I say, to look through the back. And therefore, if you can support yourself with your left arm behind the passenger seat, that can help you to do that, and maybe lifting your seat a little bit so that you can see better what's happening. So your right hand could be at the top of the steering wheel, and just slight adjustments to the left or to the right to correct any changes in position. If your car goes out, you'd steer towards, and if your car goes in, you would steer away. So as I say, the aim is to try and keep it in the same position, so try to reverse back, keeping that curb in the same position in the window. You can always look in the door mirror as well, and that would show you where the curb was, but the danger with that is if you're looking at that for too long, you are going to be restricting your vision. You'll only see what's on the inside of you there. You won't see enough through the back window and what's happening down the road, because that's where your biggest danger is going to come from. So do glance in your mirror, but look mainly through the back window. I call it a video through the back window and a photograph in the mirror. So longer time through the back window, a quick snapshot in the mirror, and then back through the back window again. And also remember to keep glancing forwards and over your right shoulder, because you want to make sure you know what's happening in the blind spot area, which wouldn't be visible while you're looking over your left shoulder. So frequent observations all around as you're doing it. So let's think about the control that you're going to use as well. If we've got a flat road or an uphill road, then you'd be using clutch control, and so you'd have a little bit of gas and you'd be using the clutch to control the speed. As the clutch comes up through the biting point, the car starts to move. So if you need to slow it down, dip the clutch down. By coming off the gas, it won't slow the car down. So the gas isn't driving you, it is the clutch. So clutch down to slow down, clutch up a little bit to move you, and then down again to slow you down again. You shouldn't really need to have your clutch above biting point for very long, so it's not as if you're going to bring it fully up. You certainly wouldn't bring it fully up doing a reverse. You would bring it up a little bit above biting point and then more or less immediately down again to slow you down. If you needed to move it again, you bring it up a little bit again. If you kept your foot above biting point for too long, even though you might not bring it fully up, the car gains momentum and it will start to go quite fast down the road. So clutch up a little bit and down a little bit to slow you down, and then only bring it back up again if you need to move the car again. If it's downhill, then we're going to use brake control. So we would be in reverse, because that puts the reversing lights on, tells people that we're reversing, even though we're not actually going to engage the gear. So you'd be in reverse, your clutch would be fully down, and you'd just use your brake, your foot brake, to control the speed. So when you release the foot brake, try and release it a little bit, not all the way, and let the car move gradually. If it's going too fast, then apply the foot brake again, but if you come completely off it, it might run too fast, so just ease off slightly until it starts to move, keep that pressure there, and if it goes too fast, a little bit more pressure to slow it down or even stop. So that's how you would do a straight reverse. See you next time.